Kyle Boggemes on your right with Counter's company. David Clinton, a little sleepy here this morning. On the left with Affinity. As we are about to be underway, Boggemes will start things off with a Windswept Heath. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to SCG Cincinnati. An Inkmoth Nexus here for David. He's got an Ornithopter. That's free, David. You don't need mana for that one.
On the house. They just give you
They're
that.
Just giving those away. Here's a Vault Scourge, not on the house. Mana and life for the 1/1 life-linking flyer. Here's Ornithopter. And we're going to head back over to Kyle. He's going to sacrifice Windswept Heath, fall down to 19, and we will see which Ravnica Shockland he wants to grab. He'll go with a Breeding Pool. So Affinity off to a decent enough start, but as you know with Affinity, if you've ever seen it play, it's all about those 2-mana payoffs. Steel Overseer, Arcbound Ravager, and the most important of the bunch, I would argue, in Cranial Plating.
And a lot of it depends on matchup. In matchups that are about racing, where someone's light on removal spells, that's where Steel Overseer and Cranial Plating really come into play. In the matchups that are about removal spells and winning attrition games, the Creature Lands and Arcbound Ravager is usually what the game centers around. But all those cards are so independently powerful that even in the wrong matchup, in quotes, those cards are capable of winning games.
Kyle going to search up a basic forest with this Windswept Heath. He's down to 18. He'll play a Devoted Druid, and if David didn't know what he was up to, he knows now. This is a mountain. David with a Signal Pest, and more importantly for him, he does have a copy of Galvanic Blast in hand.
Galvanic Blast, I think, a card that has gone up in some stock recently. You're more in the market for instant speed shocks than you used to be in this deck because I think of Storm. And it's not like Galvanic Blast is a stretch to play in Affinity anyway.
The thing that's difficult for David is he does have a copy of Steel Overseer in his hand. I'm sure he'd love to cast that this turn. But you got to get the Devoted Druid off the battlefield. There's no messing around here.
Yeah, Boggemes is signaling that he has some interest in generating infinite mana. And it looks like Clinton's just going to let it go.
It's a little bit of risky business here. I think, he'd like to respond to a Vizier, ideally.
But I really don't know how. Are you really getting him in that spot? What if Boggemes just goes Land Collected Company?
Yeah, that's the bad part.
Or just uses the mana for whatever, if he's not comboing out this turn. I would prefer much to just get the mana creature off the table if you're going to do it.
This play's a little too creative to me. We'll see if this bites David at all. But Kyle's going to have access to the mana that Devoted Druid can generate, which is honestly 2 green mana because of the untap ability. We're not just going to call it 1. Kyle's going to sacrifice a 3rd Windswept Heath here. He's going to fall down to 16, get another basic forest. No white mana here for Boggemes just yet. And now here is 4 mana. And see, this is kind of the problem right here.
Yep.
Had David actually Galvanic Blast that Devoted Druid, instead, we wouldn't be able to see Collected Company be able to be played this particular turn.
Yeah, the upshot of Clinton's play, what he's hoping for here is that Boggemes somehow spends his mana inefficiently putting Vizier on the table, and then, you kind of swallow up his turn. But I think that case is much less likely than Boggemes just using the mana to do normal stuff.
Now he's found the ability to do some normal stuff. Not a great Collected Company here for Kyle, just 2 copies of Noble Hierarch. Mana will not be an issue here. So David still does have the Galvanic Blast.
Well, at this point, I would just not use the Galvanic Blast on anything. You can't fight over mana. Boggemes has so much.
Steel Overseer the draw. There's a Blink Moth Nexus. Attack Step. Signal Pest is going to do a little Battle Cry here. Creature's get a bit larger. It'll be attack here for 3. 2 lifelink from the Vault Scourge, 1 from the Ornithopter. Boggemes is going to fall down to 13. This will allow Clinton to play a Steel Overseer with Galvanic Blast still at the ready. So we head back over to Kyle for his 4th turn of the game. Mana, as you mentioned, Patrick, no longer the issue here for Kyle. Now it's about converting those cards in his hand to actually things that are on the battlefield.
So once you don't Galvanic Blast the Devoted Druid, I like what Clinton has done here, because I just don't think there's a point in trying to attack the mana creatures. And 4 damage, the face might shave a turn off the clock.
Eternal Witness is going to get back Collected Company. You see the way Kyle actually tapped that Eternal Witness using Devoted Druid and 2 basic forests. So he's got kind of all colors of the rainbow right now between the Breeding Pool and the couple copies of Noble Hierarch. Hasn't played a land yet for the turn. He's thinking basic plains. He does have one of those in his hand. It's at the forefront right now. And there is the plains. And here comes, it looks like a main phase Collected Company. No reason to wait. So Boggemes will take a look at the top 6 again. The first Collected Company not particularly good. This one a little bit better, as you see a Vizier of Remedies in there. And Collected Company is only going to find 1. Is that on the bingo cards? I think it may be. I think it may be. For those of you just joining the broadcast right now, make sure you're following at SCG Tour, as we have some bingo cards online here. Now, the Galvanic Blast is going to go out to the Devoted Druid, but Kyle can just respond to that by making Infinite Mana.
All right, Infinite Mana is on mine.
Well, go ahead and stamp that. Yep, that's 1. If you're on Team Patrick, you're doing pretty good. Here's Duskwatch Recruiter. He has 1 trillion mana for his Duskwatch Recruiter, which means he's going to be able to take a look at the top 3 cards. Again and again and again, and again and again and again. And in doing so, he is going to find a copy of Walking Ballista. You talked about this right at the top. This is the kill for the deck.
Mm-hmm. And we're still in the main phase.
There is Walking Ballista for Inf, and that will take care of David Clinton, as Kyle Boggemes is going to win game number 1 here over David Clinton. Counters Company up a game here over Affinity, and that just kind of demonstrates maybe a lack of understanding of the matchup, or just how important Devoted Druid is to this deck. You can't let that thing lie around, man.
Oh, also, I know it doesn't seem that way, but you can also stamp off a player gets Metalcraft bonus, because that Galvanic Blast was for 4.
That's 2 stamps on Patrick's bingo card. Look at you going animal. I don't think I have anything just yet. I'm going to take a look in just a moment. You can find our bingo cards, by the way. They are pinned on our Twitter at SCG Tour. You can be hashtag Team Cedric or hashtag Team Patrick if you want to front run.
Did Clinton have 5 artifacts at the end of that game? He only had the 4, right?
I think he only had 4.
Okay.
Is 5 artifacts on the card too?
Player controls 5 or more artifacts or enchantments. Which is actually vague. Is it worded? It's worded a little vaguely. Does that mean 5 total, or 5 of artifacts, or 5 of enchantments?
I believe 5 either artifacts or 5 enchantments.
Okay, cool.
So we'll make that clear. There were only 4 out there, but you're still drawing live for 3 stamps in the first match.
Yep.
You're running pretty good right now. We'll go to Clinton's sideboard here. He's got 3 Whip Flares, 3 Wear and Tear, 2 Fatal Push, 2 Pithing Needle, 2 Spellskite, a Master of Ethereum, and that's Champion, and a Grafdigger's Cage.
This is typically a Whip Flare kind of matchup, with Boggemes playing with a lot of mana creatures. The 2 copies of Fatal Push are probably a little bit too narrow for me here. I think Clinton can only sideboard in so many spells, so much interaction, but he could load up on removal if he wanted to.
We'll go to Kyle Boggemes, who has 3 Unified Will, 3 Path to Exile, 3 Burrington Forge Tender, 3 Geist of St. Traft, 2 Kasali Pride Mage, and an additional copy of Walking Ballista. So
the 3 copies of Path to Exile and the 2 Kasali Pride Mages are just, I think, generally good interaction against Affinity. I could also say bring in the 1 copy of Walking Ballista. It's actually not that bad against Affinity if you just have a lot of mana. That's a card that can stabilize a board and eventually win a game. So I think the Ballista should come in as well.
I just took a look at my bingo card. No stamps.
No stamps?
I'm 0 for right now. I got some real work to do here. A lot of people saying I have an easy road to bingo here this weekend. Doesn't appear to be the case, as you've already got 2, potentially 3 in match 1 of the day. Make sure you do join in on the conversation on Twitter, hashtag SCGCIN. Also, hashtag Team Cedric or hashtag Team Patrick, because depending on which team you join, whoever wins first, we might be giving away some prizes on the old Twitter. In the meantime, however, as these 2 players do shuffle up, David Clinton will be on the play for game number 2, and we're going to talk about one of your favorite things, the StarCityGames.com weekly sale. Ooh. Where this week, up until Monday at 10:59 a.m., 25% off thousands of rares.
So head over to go.starcitygames.com/weekly sale to find out more information about the weekly sale. Every week, Monday, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, we post a new sale, so make sure to be heading back to the website at least once a week to see what that sale is. Right now, 25% off thousands of rares, which is really broad and vague. So head over to go.starcitygames.com/weekly sale to see what rare or rares that are on sale that you may be interested in purchasing.
That's how it's done right there, folks.
That is compelling ad copy.
That's how you do it. How can you not go to the website now?
There are a lot of items on this list. Perhaps some of them will intrigue you. Go find out
at
go.starcggames.com/weekly sale.
Kyle Boggemes is the player we're going to learn a little bit more about right now. 28-year-old from Ann Arbor, Michigan. He's got 2 open top 8s, an invitational top 8 last year as well in Columbus, Ohio. He stopped playing Magic professionally to become a financial analyst, enjoys long walks in the parks, enjoys long walks in the park, puns and value, and his favorite animal is the red panda, which, you know what? Red pandas are sweet.
They are sweet.
So I fully approve of that. That's Kyle Boggemes, someone I've known for a very, very long time. Very, very, very good Magic player.
One of my daughter's favorite stuffed animals.
Yeah,
a red panda.
See, full circle right there.
Very popular.
Behind Kyle Boggemes, you might see a gentleman in a Captain America hoodie. We are in Cincinnati.
Yes, yes.
That is Adam Bowman.
Yes.
The Sliver Kid himself. I'm sure he is playing Sliver. Did you see Nick probably chatting him up, trying to figure out what the newest tech is in his Sliver deck that he has had multiple top 8s with in modern SCG Tour events? I am sure we will see Adam at some point this weekend. And I believe you have a Sliver square on your card.
The player attacks with a Sliver. I was really banking on Mutavault carrying the load for that spot, but with Bowman in the house.
Basically a free square.
Yeah, we could just fill that in right now.
I'm gonna make sure Nick doesn't put him on. I have to kind of sabotage against you now. And I'm hoping that Hunter Nance is here this weekend because 2 or more Merfolk Lords on the battlefield. That's a free square if Hunter's on camera.
Is that? Oh, you have that?
I have that.
Okay.
I have that. So I'm hoping I can get my freebie there.
Boggemes letting me down here. I thought player draws a card with Horizon Canopy would be a possibility for this match as well, but Boggemes with 0 copies.
No canopies in the list.
Assuming that he's just feeling that this deck is too fast to be messing around with something like that. Horizon Canopy also a big cost in the burn matchup and some other ancillary beatdown matchups.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That damage can certainly add up. I do have a couple freebies here that I'm feeling pretty good about. 5, 6, or larger Tarmogoyf.
Yep.
I feel like that should be a gimme. Player has pregame effects.
So player,
that would be good against you.
Player investigates. Does that mean simply the act of putting a clue onto the battlefield?
That is what investigating is. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Goblin Guide reveals a land. Literally, all of my opponents from last night.
Attacking creature gets exalted. There was no exalted attack from Kyle that last game with the Noble Hierarchs, but I'm keeping my eye on that square right now. That's for sure. And a hexproof creature with 5+ power.
Also my opponents from yesterday.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have like 4 stamps. Player has pregame effects. Also your opponents yesterday. And I'm really banking on turn 3 Tron, something that I have got a lot of experience with and should be pretty easy. So these players are going to shuffle up here and get ready for game number 2. Got a lot to talk about here this weekend, honestly. We got Star City Games is hosting a Grand Prix in Atlanta just a couple weeks from now. We've got a regional championship coming down the pipeline, excuse me. We just announced the 2018 SCG Tour Season 1 schedule. So we're talking about that this weekend. We just debuted a new playmat running on plumes for the next pre-release, Rivals of Ixalan. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of things to pre-order. Iconic Masters coming out very soon, among a lot of other things coming out in the Magic community as far as products are concerned. There's a new dual deck with Merfolk versus Goblins. Do you know what Merfolk is in the Merfolk versus Goblins dual deck?
Not offhand, no.
Master of Waves. That's protection from red.
Once upon a time, Matt Sperling came up to me and asked, do you want to play the Jace versus Chandra dual deck, or as I like to call it, Fire Breathing versus Repel?
A compelling matchup, if there ever was one. Not quite sure what Master Wave is doing against the red deck.
Pumping all my mana into this Fire-Breathing creature. Okay. Capsize with buyback, or Repel.
Just pick that up, or put that on top of your deck.
Some instant speed, control magic, or, you know.
Doesn't seem particularly fair to me.
Fair is a weird word. I'm just saying the red deck had a lot of fire breathing and the blue deck had a lot of repels.
Yeah.
That's all the experience I'm describing.
Anybody's game.
Yeah.
Anybody's game. Boggemes is able to kind of steal game number 1, I would say. We'll see how Clinton opts to use Galvanic Blast moving forward. I imagine things will change a little bit. Looks like he's also taking a look at Devoted Druid on his phone at the moment in combination with Vizier. You can go nuts, make all the green mana you need to, and that's exactly what Kyle did. Even a Galvanic Blast in response, not going to help you, David. He's got a better understanding of that now as Kyle's going to lay out, looks like 6 cards.
Noteworthy there that Boggemes did everything on the main phase. If this deck generates infinite mana at instant speed, it can't actually win the game on the spot. It's got to be in the main phase because it goes through Walking Ballista. So doing the fancy, all right, I'll collect a company at the end of your turn and then untap, less interesting here for Boggemes because the combo only works on the main phase.
Here come the Knuckleheads, Ornithopter, Mox Opal, Inkmoth Nexus, and just a passing of the turn here for Clinton. He does have a Mountain, an Arcbound Ravager, an Etched Champion, and it looks like maybe a Galvanic Blast in hand. For Kyle, he'll play a Misty Rainforest and simply pass the turn back. So over to David, we're going to go another Ornithopter. That's on the house.
Mismatched.
That's a Mountain. He does have Metalcraft. You've already got that stamp. This is an Etched Champion. That's 4 artifacts, Patrick. That's 4 artifacts.
Yep.
You are 1 away.
And I think Clinton's got another one in hand. I don't think Boggemes is blowing up this Mox. Can't blow up the champion.
Cannot blow up the champion.
Probably not going to touch the Ornithopters either.
Team Patrick fans are doing very well this morning.
We're off to a rip-roaring start.
Kyle down to 19. He's going to search up a Temple Garden.
So I found out about this the way that my favorite way to find out about things.
It's the only way I'll tell you.
Tagged in a tweet from Star City Games.
There you go.
From the account.
I'm not going to just give you the heads up.
Right.
Got to keep you on your toes. Got to keep you loose.
Yeah, squinting at my phone. So why do I suddenly have 9 notifications? And it's, oh, of course.
Yes.
What else could it be? A promotion.
That's right. That you're tagged in, and I'm just going to keep tagging you in random things.
Right.
Boggemes does have a Botanical Sanctum in hand. That could be land number 2, and it is the green-blue fast land. And there's a Devoted Druid. We'll go back over to David Clinton, who has a Springleaf Drum, an Arcbound Ravager, and a Galvanic Blast. Patrick already reaching for the Stamper for his bingo card. There's a 5th artifact.
There's 5.
Lock it up. Ornithopter is going to go through the Springleaf Drum. David, I think, is going to... here's Arcbound Ravager. Okay.
So this looks like a very good draw from Clinton's side, and he's doing more stuff than he was doing in the first game. These are the tools that you want for the attrition matchups. This is a pretty slow way to do it, all things told.
It is a slow way to do it. He could speed it up a little bit if he wanted to by kind of moving all in on Arcbound Ravager, and I think it would be prudent for him to do so.
But you can see this is the difference. In these matchups, Cranial Plating and Steel Overseer are the real payoffs.
Oh,
because the game's all about speed, and Boggemes is not bringing a whole lot of removal to the table.
That I agree with. Let's see what Kyle's got here. He's got a Duskwatch Recruiter, and he will pass the turn back over to Clinton. Clinton is empty-handed. He'll draw a card. Didn't get a great look at it. Well, it's a third Ornithopter.
Also free.
It's time to make a move, I think, for David Clinton. It's time to maybe chomp on some of these artifacts. He could still leave his Etched Champion with Metalcraft. He's got access to plenty of mana. He's going to sacrifice 2 Ornithopters, going to make that into a 3/3 Arcbound Ravager. And it'll be an attack here for 5. Boggemes is going to fall down to 12. This is part of the tricks with Affinity. You know, you see the best Affinity players in the world be able to maximize damage with this deck and basically make it so the opponent gets as few draw steps as possible.
Figuring out how to cut a turn out of the game is a top skill with this deck.
Breeding Pools, what Kyle will search up off of the Windswept Heath. He'll fall down to 11.
And I like leaving 1 Ornithopter among the leftover artifacts because Boggemes' deck does have the ability to gum up the works a little bit, and Clinton may need to move those counters over to a flyer.
We will go over to Kyle now. He'll play a Windswept Heath.
You know, Clinton's on empty right now, and it is possible Boggemes could win on the spot here. He has a collected company into the combo pieces.
Well, you gotta remember, the Devoted Druid will have summoning sickness.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Can't go nuts,
Yep.
but it is possible for him to cobble together.
And it's not like Boggemes is looking at lethal next turn, most likely.
Correct.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get it. I mean, he's within Galvanic Blast range, but Clinton's empty-handed, and most stray artifacts he draws here do not produce lethal. So given that, he may want to wait and collect a company on Clinton's turn to make combat tricky, maybe blow him out there. But if he passes the turn, then his Dustwash Recruiter flips.
True.
So a lot to consider here.
All right, he's going to pass the turn to... Oh, is that card transforms? Oh, is that G on my card? Bang! On the board.
You're on the board.
We'll go back over to David. Springleaf Drum is going to add a little bit of mana here. What else we got? Steel Overseer. Okay. Kyle is going to sacrifice that Windswept Heath. He's going to search up a land here. Might have a collected company on the way.
Yeah, he can respond with a collected company here and try to hit Spell Queller.
Also true. So not quite sure if Steel Overseer has resolved yet or not. Might still be on the stack. But Boggemes is going to... Yeah, Steel Overseer's on the stack. Here is collected company. One of two that he has in his hand. Clinton will shuffle Kyle's deck, and then we'll take a look at the top 6 cards here for Kyle. His collected companies in game number 1, not particularly good. So we'll see if Kyle can do a little bit better. If you're David Clinton and you're rooting for Affinity, you're hoping that Kyle doesn't do very well at all. All right, here we go. See what the player from Ann Arbor, Michigan can do here with the powerful instant. Reflector Mage.
Good to be back.
Yeah.
Good to be back.
Is that a one of fun of in Kyle's deck? I think it is.
Yeah, Reflector Mage is in here. I'm sure, you know, it's a good core target. Fine thing to have as a one-of with Collected Company. And there's probably spots where you need a Reflector Mage to be able to execute the combo against a couple random creatures that prevent that from occurring.
Looks like Kyle might be thinking Eternal Witness and Reflector Mage here. Well, there they are. So Eternal Witness will get to pick up something from Kyle's graveyard, up to and including Collected Company. And the Reflector Mage will have a trigger. And that'll get to bounce something as well. Most likely just going to be Arcbound Ravager, which is exactly what Kyle points towards.
Yeah, make Clinton make some sort of move here.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but we're going to take a look at Reflector Mage for those unfamiliar with a card that's banned in Standard.
Banned.
Banned, plus B. Too good.
Why is so this banned? Because does it? It's so this is just a good mana war. Yes, that's exactly. That's
yeah, it's just
that's correct.
It is too good of a bounce spell. It sure was not fun during those 5-color rally days.
Oh, I'm not arguing about fun. That I mean, you know.
It looks like Eternal Witness is going to be targeting Devoted Druid. It looks like David Clinton going to do a little chomping here with Arcbound Ravager. He'll eat a Springleaf Drum. He's going to eat an Ornithopter.
And I think the goal here is preserve Metalcraft and move as much as possible over to the Etched Champion to try to produce lethal here.
He's actually going to put it onto the Inkmoth Nexus. I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, one could argue he can go both ways here with the damage. You know, it's going to be 2 turns regardless. However, that Etched Champion, had it gotten the counters, it would have attacked for 7 to put Kyle down to 3.
Yep.
And then a Galvanic Blast would be lethal. A Galvanic Blast now is not lethal. It is just merely interaction. Now, if Kyle has no flyer, no way to stop this Inkmoth Nexus, the game does end. But as you can see in his hand, he has not 1 but 2 flyers, folks, in Birds of Paradise and Spell Queller.
Yeah, my sense here is that the Etched Champion is a slightly safer place for Clinton to distribute his counters than onto the Nexus.
I think I agree with you.
It just depends what he's playing around. You know, if he's worried that there's some sort of sweeper in the deck, or, you know.
There's the bird. Oh, excuse me. That's a Devoted Druid. That costs 2 mana. There we go.
No,
it costs 1. Yeah.
The flip the Dustwasp Recruiter, rather.
Yeah. Here's Spell Queller 2. So Kyle's getting all of this out there right now. No messing around, since they're all on the cheap. And now Kralin Horde Howler will transform back into Duskwatch Recruiter.
And I think Boggemes wants that to flip because that is the engine here.
Cranial Plating the draw.
Yeah, this really stings for not having the Etched Champion having done the work.
Yep. Because now you put the plating onto the Etched Champion, you're still coming up short.
Yeah, this would be lethal in the other scenario.
Yep.
And here, Clinton's going to have to wait until next turn at the best.
But 1 turn might be all that Kyle needs right now.
I think his hands has at least 1 copy of Collected Company. He's going to have a Devoted Druid, not Summoning Sick. So
he's already got the Duskwatch Recruiter.
A lot of mana to work with.
Yeah.
Not a lock by any stretch, but I think he's in a good spot to get it done this turn.
Boggemes will untap. He'll take a draw. I think he may have picked up Qasali Pride Mage, but that doesn't matter all that much right now.
It only matters if it's a backup plan to interact meaningfully in the event that Boggemes doesn't win the game this turn. I don't think it is, because the Etched Champion is still 3 points of damage, even without the Cranial Plating.
Mm-hmm. Here's Collected Company. He's on the hunt for the Vizier. Can he find it? I think he just did, folks. I think he just did. There's Vizier of Remedies, infinite mana, gonna find a Walking Ballista, and that is gonna do it. Kyle Boggemes is gonna win this match over David Clinton, 2-0. Counters Company, a BAMP style. Gonna get the job done over Affinity, and for the Ann Arbor, Michigan player, he is 1-0.